On this week's episode of the Pit Therapy Podcast, we have our good friend Chris back to talk about his cybercrime project, First Grade Fight Club. Chris has been kind enough to join us several times, first for the Furnace Fest 2023 recap episode, and then again on our MySpace episode. They have always been fun, interesting conversations, so go check out those episodes and then also check out First Grade Fight Club. Let's open this pit up. What's up, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of the Pit Therapy Podcast with me, Trevor, and then Kyle and Josh have bailed on me this week, so I brought a special guest in. I've got Chris.
What's
back
up,
on
everybody?
The podcast.
Hey, back on the pod.
Dude, so for those who have listened, Chris was on for our MySpace episode, right?
Yep.
And you also brought us the Furnace Fest recap 2023.
Yeah, dude. That's right.
So a couple
Triple
different
threat
times.
now. Yeah.
I know. Dude, I really appreciate you, man.
Of course.
I didn't know what I was going to do this week since Kyle and Josh have abandoned me. And, you know, it's one of those things. It's just like Chris can bail me out. I'll just hit up
dude.
Chris.
I've always got your back.
Well, I appreciate that, man. So how have things been going? First Grade Fight Club is your project you are doing. You have released music. You have more music coming. How's everything been going with you, my man?
Everything's been great, dude. In life in general, things have been really good. And with First Grade Fight Club, things have been awesome and busy at the exact same time. I put out a full demo in February, and then there will be another release later this year.
Oh, so sick.
Yep.
I mean, that first one was 9 songs.
It is, but it's in the world of grindcore, so those 9 songs only equal like 11 minutes.
Sure. Yeah. Totally cool. How long is this next one going to be? 112?
112 songs, so maybe 18 minutes. Yeah.
Nice. Sounds about right.
No, so far the songs have actually been longer for this next one, which is weird. I'm not used to writing longer songs, but yeah, so we'll see. I would say it's more than like more than halfway done.
Sick. Nice. Well, we will continue to talk about that, but what else is new in the world of music for you? I mean, what have you been listening to? What tours have you been noticing coming through? What's going on?
A lot of good stuff has been happening in the world of music. I have a buddy. He is in a project called Chop 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 Chop, and
Nice.
he does like a mix of power violence and cyber grind. And I've been listening to a lot of his stuff. He's like a friend, and his stuff is so wacky and it's very political. So it's really good for right now, and it's so fun. I've also been jamming a lot of oh goodness. Don't you forget when you hate the name like right away? Gosh dang it. Well, that's not coming to me. But other tours coming up. Next month, the Wonder Years are going to be in Salt Lake City.
Got my tickets.
Yeah, dude. Like I'm like an off day of the the Sad Summer Fest or whatever they call it.
Yeah, I don't know what that tour is, but yeah. So I got my tickets to that right when they announced.
Yeah, dude. Wonder Years are so fun. Have you ever seen them live?
I haven't actually. And they're like, it's crazy to me because they are seriously one of my favorite bands. The Greatest Generation might be one of the greatest pop punk albums ever written.
Yeah, masterpiece of an album.
So good.
Yeah, they're great live. This will be my 3rd or 4th time, and they're so much fun.
I'm very excited to see them. And they're coming with
like Knuckle Puck, right? Yeah.
I'm not a huge Knuckle Puck fan, I'll be honest.
Okay.
Like I saw them with 4 Years Strong the other year, or what was it, last year?
A year ago, yeah.
And I don't know, I've seen Knuckle Puck probably 3 times, which is weird because again, I'm not a big Knuckle Puck fan, and I somehow keep seeing them. So
isn't that funny? I have several bands like that where it's like I've seen them a handful of times and it's never been intentional.
Yeah.
I feel like I've seen Of Mice and Men 5 times and I've never once gone to see Of Mice and Men. Knuckle Puck, I've been into Knuckle Puck since the first EP. So I love their older stuff that was much more like on the punk side of pop punk. And as time goes on and they've like chilled out a lot more, I think it's still good. I don't think it's bad. But yeah, like I definitely prefer older Knuckle Puck for sure.
I mean, I don't have anything against Knuckle Puck. It's just not a band that ever caught on to me. Yep. And so
It was one of those
Yeah,
things where they had such a big run for a minute where
they really
everyone was
did.
like, it's Knuckle Puck. Everything was Knuckle Puck. And now I'm
Absolutely.
just like, whatever.
And that was a weird time for pop punk too, because that's when you had the rise of like the Story So Far and Real Friends. So you had all these bands all of a sudden explode, and then everyone changed over time, and basically no one plays the same style anymore. But
I
yeah, it'll be. But there's also another pop punk band opening that show called Like Roses. Have you ever listened to them?
a very, very little bit. Like I've heard one or
I
two
love
songs.
them.
I don't know really
Yeah,
anything about.
I'm not deep into them, but like when I've listened to it, I think it's fantastic. So I'm super stoked to see them.
That's awesome. I'm really into pop punk right now. I've been into pop punk for a long time.
Yeah.
Koyo's here next week.
Oh, that's next
So
week. Sick.
yeah, Koyo, Anxious, One Step Closer. That One
Yeah,
Step Closer album is
this is so good.
fantastic.
Aren't they great?
Like it's so good. It's so good.
Yeah.
And I'm a huge fan of Koyo. I've posted about him. People know
Yes, you
that.
are. Yep.
And Anxious, that's another band. That Lil Green House album,
So good.
so incredible. So
Yeah.
good. But like Kyle was saying this on one of the episodes recently, they are like an emo pop punk.
Yes.
Like it's such a weird. It's definitely pop punk, but it's not like Real Friends emo pop punk. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Absolutely.
It's just this completely like it's not new. I mean, it sounds very familiar. It sounds reminiscent,
Yeah.
but it's like fresh for pop punk. Is how I feel about it.
Absolutely. No, I think Anxious is a great band, and what's great about actually all three of those bands is that because they're not like full popular sounding like pop, they're not neck deep, is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
They can play with hardcore bands, they can play with emo bands, they can play with pop punk bands, they can play with kind of like anybody in the scene, and it fits really well. Like I've seen Anxious and One Step Closer open for Drug Church at two different concerts, and
really.
people mosh and crowd surf like violently to those bands at drug church shows. So it's
I
cool.
know.
I love that bands can kind of teeter on that. I saw Koi open for Knocked Loose, and so it's
Right.
I love the balance that they can make. It's genius too, like marketing wise.
It's at Kilby again.
Is it
So like it's another small venue. I
sick?
wish Kilby stage was like a foot taller. You know what
Uh
I mean?
huh.
Especially for this kind of show. It was the same thing for Madball. It's going to be the same thing for this band. I wish it was just a little bit taller so you could really,
Yeah.
jump off the stage, all of the good
Right.
stuff. Did you see the video of the Story So Far playing in New York?
I did. Like super tiny venue, right?
And it is everything I would ever hope for a Story So Far
Yes.
show. These amphitheater shows,
I know.
credit to them. A day to remember, Story So Far, 4 years strong. Good for you guys, right? You guys have made it to be able to play amphitheaters. Have
Yeah,
you been seeing the day to remember videos though? The dudes look miserable
they
on
do.
stage.
They absolutely do.
It's insane. Like Jeremy's just walking around every now and
Oh yeah.
again when the actual, disrespect your surroundings, all the call outs happen.
Right.
He'll get a little excited, but for the most part, he's got the mic super close to his mouth.
Yeah.
Like you can tell he's saving his voice. He's not putting effort into it.
Yeah.
And like, listen, I'm not here to like body shame people, but like the dudes look like they're like 45-year-old like dad bods now.
They
You know
do,
what I mean? They
especially
don't.
Kevin. Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
it's such a different feeling. Like I remember
It is.
seeing A Day to Remember at Saltaire, and that show was just wild. The confetti blowing out, the
Right.
guys going crazy, Jeremy in the running ball going over everyone. They
Right.
had so much fun, and now it's just like this is our job. We're here for a paycheck. We're selling
Literally.
as many tickets as possible. I hope you guys enjoy it. You know what I
Seriously.
mean?
Do the videos of them playing, one that I still am like mind blown is when they've been introing Since You've Been Gone, they act like it's a pain for them to play it. Where he's like, well, everyone keeps requesting it, so I guess we'll do it. And it's like people paid like hundreds of dollars to be there. You could
I
smile.
know.
Yeah, you could act like you care. Yeah.
I know. I mean, maybe it fits with what's going on with the story so far. Maybe Parker Cannon's going to be up there, sad boy crying too, kind
You
of thing.
could,
But
yeah.
like, watching them in that New York venue,
Yeah.
story so far again, it looks so fun.
It
It was
does.
like
Yeah,
it was
dude.
incredible. I guarantee that was probably the most like euphoric feeling. It's like he's playing with no pressure again. You know
Yes.
what I mean?
Yep.
It's one of those happy moments. There's no way they get the same feeling at these other stadiums.
Nah. And I mean, that's been the story so far as gig for like a few years now that they just stand there. Like since,
Yeah.
especially since Proper Dose came out, it's just kind of like it's more up to the crowd to have fun than it is up to us to have fun. I saw them 2 years ago, and same thing. They just stood there. It's a great show, great set list, but they just stood there. So
Yeah.
whatever.
Have you listened to the New Story So Far album?
I have.
What do you think about that?
I thought it was fine, but not better than fine. What did you think about it?
I really enjoyed it.
Nice.
So I'm a little bit different from you on that. I thought Proper Dose was good. What was the album right before Proper Dose? I didn't really care for that album.
Titled. I don't either. That's my least favorite of the Source of How albums.
And I know a lot of people, like I got into the debate with Kyle and Josh about it. They really enjoy it. And I'm just like, it just wasn't that great. Proper Dose brought me back a little bit. This album to me was better than Proper Dose though.
I would agree.
I do enjoy it quite a bit.
I don't feel like anything will ever be as good as the first two albums.
No.
But I do think this one would probably be my third. It's probably like the middle of all of their ranking for me.
I mean, I think most people say that second album was their favorite. I'm so bad with album names.
Empty Space is on that album.
Empty Space is on it. What you don't see, exactly.
Yep.
My favorite, though, is Under Soil and Dirt. That album is...
Same. Perfect.
Dude, it was so fresh. It was different. Yeah. My favorite song by far is Mount Diablo. Like, that song is incredible.
Yeah.
It's just so good. And I feel like this last one, I Want to Disappear, they brought some energy back. They kept worked well on Proper Dose, but they did bring back some of the speed, some up tempo, and like Big Blind. I know it was their single or whatever, but that's just
a good song.
Incredibly. It's such a good song. So
yeah, dude. It was a good one.
I don't know. Yeah, dude, I am extremely stoked. Black Dahlia. You listened to that single?
Oh, of course I listened to that single. It was incredible.
What did you think about that?
Oh my gosh. Like, this is their first officially released music with Brian as their vocalist now. And it was fantastic. It was incredible.
So good. And I mean, like, we're going to talk about First Grade Fight Club. You play Cyber Grind, right? Mm-hmm. So, like, you guys are pulling a lot of grindcore influences. And I know Black Dahlia is not grindcore, right? But it's fast, it's chaotic, it has a lot of like the death stuff.
They're one of my favorite bands.
Get grindy, you know.
Absolutely. Black Dahlia Murder is so intense, and I love it so much.
Dude, from day one hearing these guys off of Miasma.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that right, but whatever.
Well, close enough.
Like a Statutory Ape. That was the song that we all went to because it was the music video.
Dude. Yes, that video is wild. Yeah. I love that band. I think they're so great. Yeah.
And then leading into that, freaking their tour with Dying Fetus coming up.
That was so with freaking Vomit Forth and Spite and Angel Maker. That is like the No One Survives tour, you know? That is crazy.
It's going to be interesting because these are all very deathcore, hard bands kind of thing.
Absolutely.
But these will bring out hardcore kids. You know what I mean? Black Dahlia.
Those are the mosh bands for sure.
Exactly. So it's going to be an interesting show. I feel like it's going to be a lot like the Acacia Strain Dying Fetus show we went to.
Agreed. Yep.
You don't have quite the Acacia Strain on there. You know what I mean? That really brought out like the hardcore crowd. Absolutely. But I think that Black Dahlia with their new music coming out, I think that it's going to be a pretty crazy show.
So, yeah, I agree.
What venue was that at? I don't remember Salt Lake.
The one that we went to?
Is it at the Depot again?
I think it's going to be the Depot again. Yeah.
Okay. Dude, I'm stoked for that.
Yeah, that'll be an insane show. Yeah.
And then I don't know if you're a fan of these guys, but 200 Stab Wounds, they're dropping new music. I think that dropped today. I haven't listened yet.
Tonight, yeah.
Did you? Oh, it's not out yet?
Because it's tomorrow. It'll come out tomorrow. I love that band. I love 200 Stabbies. They're incredible. And that new album's going to be sick as hell. I haven't listened to the whole thing yet, just the singles, but very stoked.
It's going to be interesting. They're skipping Salt Lake, though. they just dropped their tour and they're
They
skipping
are
songs.
that tour is stacked. So I was very sad. I've seen them a couple times now, and they're so much fun live. But
really,
yeah, because the thing that's great about 200 Stabbies is you get the mix of like hardcore kids that love death metal, but you also get like caveman death metal fans that aren't looking for precision and depth; they just want a headbang. And so the crowd goes so wild for that band in the best way of just wanting to push and wanting to be angry. I love it. They're so fun.
That's awesome. So
Yeah,
that's some new music to look forward to.
yeah, man, it's gonna be great.
What else? What else have you been listening to? Or
Oh man, what else have I been listening to? I don't know if you like the Blood Brothers at all. I love the Blood Brothers. And they're
that seems like a
reuniting.
band that you love.
That, you know what, Chris? I would have guessed that you like the Blood Brothers.
I actually do that about you. So
oh yeah, that's no secret. They're reuniting this year, and I'm going to the show in LA. And so I've just been constantly listening to a lot of Blood Brothers and Sasscore just in general. Yeah, like my music taste. For those who have not listened to the episodes of the Pit Therapy I've been on, my music tastes personally are a little bit all over the map in terms of I like scene music, but I also like really weird music. I like experimental music. I like super heavy music. So I'm kind of everywhere in a good and bad way. But yeah. What else have you been listening to? Let's throw that question right back to you.
Oh man, I went on like a really early 2000s kick.
Sick.
Because I was driving around. So I just got back from Massachusetts. That's where my in-laws live.
Yep.
And so we were driving up and down the coast. We went all over the place, sightseeing and different things like that. And I had my family in the car. Most of the time, my kids had their headphones on. So it was like my wife, who's not a big hardcore fan, right? So I had to put on some stuff that she wouldn't absolutely hate.
Like Attila.
Like Attila. I listened to a lot of Attila. No, so I listened to Rufio. I threw that first album on because I was on kind of a pop punk kick. I listened to Koyo, One Step Closer.
Nice.
I turned on the Used album with the heart hanging from it.
In Love and Death.
In Love and Death. Yep. Early Taking Back Sunday.
Nice.
And then being in Massachusetts, I was listening to a lot of mass bands. 4 Year Strong. I was listening to Defeater, who's just, again, phenomenal. Right?
Great.
And you can't be in Massachusetts and not listen to Have Heart. So
true. That is so true. I love Have Heart.
So I was doing a lot of that. But Foreign Hands, their new album again.
Okay, the new Foreign Hands was incredible.
Yeah.
So good. I love that band.
Oh my gosh. Incredible. Fantastic. Might be like I was a huge fan of the new Boundaries album. Yeah. This one might top the new Boundaries album.
I think so too, dude. I think the very same. I feel like the new Boundaries album was really good, but I do feel like the songs kind of bleed together because it's very chuggy and it's very breakdown heavy, which is fine. That's great. But Foreign Hands did this amazing mix of like melody with heavy breakdowns, with like crazy heavy moments, and then interludes. It was great. It was all over the place in a good way. Yeah.
And the chaotic riffs that you got, a little bit of the chaos in there and stuff. Dude, it was so good. And like Got Under Fingernails, that's probably my favorite song. Again, it's another single. Gosh. I don't care, right?
It was so good though.
So good, right? It was so a single good. For a reason.
Right? So. The vocalist from Foreign Hands, he's in like 4 other bands that are constantly playing and touring. So I don't know when that fool gets the time to like do anything.
Yeah. And they're the ones who are supporting Misery Signals on their farewell. Yeah. Like those shows look incredible. I'm so stoked that I'm going to be able to catch Misery Signals at Furnace Fest, but I am so tempted to drive up to Boise.
Yeah.
I'm so tempted because it's
going to Boise trenches. For the Miz-Sigs like final tour.
I kind of think that they have like really close friends in Boise. Didn't Misery Signals? I think they recorded or they spent time in Boise for some reason, or Idaho for some reason during one of their times. That's so awesome. I don't know what it was, but yeah, I could be making crap up. Like, don't come to me for facts.
If you say it confidently, we're not going to question it.
Oh. But they have like a 3-day break right there. I was like, just drive down. Just come.
Seriously.
But they added another show. Hours. I know they added another California show. I know Foreign Hands is going up to, I think, San Fran area and playing an off day show up there, kind of thing. So I might make the trek up there.
Nice.
I've said that and I recanted it. I'm saying it again. We'll see.
I'll go with you. We'll go together to Boise.
There we go.
I've gone to Boise for shows. Yeah, it's not hard. In fact, I went to Boise to see the Black Dahlia murder. That's so funny.
Oh, did you really?
I did. Yeah.
Because they weren't coming through Salt Lake, or
it was on tour with what is that shitty like a dad rock heavy metal band, Black Label Society. Black Dahlia Murder was opening for them, and the closest they were coming was Boise, and I was just so determined. So I just drove up to Boise and stayed in a hotel, not even a whole block from the venue, and then just went to the show.
Huh?
Yeah, it was great.
Pretty dope. The only Idaho show I went to was actually Of Mice and Men. Funny that you had brought those guys.
That's so funny. Yeah, there you go.
I drove up to, I think it was Pocatello or something when I lived in Logan for a show.
Nice.
So, but it was all good.
Of Mice and Men, man.
Of Mice and Men. Dude, that was actually a pretty sick show. It was like Of Mice and Men, Icy Stars, and then Broadway. That old
And We Came as Romans.
And We Came as Romans. Yep, that was that show.
That show came here. Yeah.
Yeah, I was in Logan, and so I went up to Pocatello.
Nice.
I mean, it was, I think it was 2.5 hours to get there, or 3 hours. So it was like, just drive that way. And so I made it up that way. You went to the 20 Years of Tears. I keep wanting to say is for lovers.
It's basically the same thing.
I know, right? Yeah. So the only band, like, I want to see Hawthorne. Icy Stars would be cool. I really want to see Armor for Sleep again, though.
That was the main draw for me, because I love Armor for Sleep. Like, I've never been huge into Anberlin, and what was the other one that played? Gosh dang it.
I don't even know. Was it Emery?
It was Emery. Like, I've always been like hand wavy into Emery, like old Emery totally. But Armor for Sleep, when they got announced, was like, oh yeah, I'll be there for sure. I will absolutely be there. Yeah. I love Armor for Sleep.
That was the band that when they popped on there, that was like, oh, I want to go to that, and I was out of town. Yeah. And on their tour last year, doing the 20 years of their first album, I was out of town for that one too. So I haven't seen Armor for Sleep forever.
Dang it, dude. Great band.
So disappointed.
Great band.
So.
Yeah.
But anyways, First Grade Fight Club.
Yes.
Or you can finish your thought.
I was just going to say that Hawthorne Heights show was sick. That was literally the sentence I was going to say. So we can move on.
Well, let me just ask you this before. Okay. I still haven't been to a show at the Granary, whatever the freak it's called. Is it worth going to a show there?
It is. I do like it as a venue because it's in a good spot in downtown Salt Lake City. And it's a huge stage. That's what's really sick, is that we don't really have like an outdoor venue that's used very often in Utah. So the fact there's a dedicated one is really sick. It's in a good spot. There's good, like, I was going to say resources. Makes me sound like I'm like a city planner. There's bathrooms nearby. There's food trucks always there.
Okay.
The only downside is that you stand on turf. And so it's bouncy, which is nice, but it reflects the heat. And so it's hot. It's hot. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Every show that's come through there, I've always been like 50-50 on. Like, it's really been Hawthorne who's like put shows there. Yeah. So everything else is rap. It seems like that goes
like Ludacris was there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Which is so weird, right? Like,
so weird.
He's a much bigger star than that venue can probably hold capacity for. So
yeah, they're just playing the Fast and the Furious in the background the whole time. Yeah.
Just his video clips rolling. He doesn't even sing. Oh man. Okay, well, I've known you for a long time. I know your musical taste and stuff.
Yes.
Cyber Grind is First Grade Fight Club.
Yes, it is.
Dude, you've got to educate me in some way.
Absolutely.
I've listened obviously to your band, First Grade Fight Club, the album Don't Tell Your Mom, The Babysitter's Beheaded.
Mm-hmm.
I listened to it about 4 times on the plane ride home.
Oh my gosh. Thank you.
Just making sure.
30 minutes, you can get 4 times in. Yeah.
I know. It was perfect. It was kind of my ascent up. There's so many like little, what's the word I'm trying to think of? I want to say like it's all sound clips. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like references and stuff like that.
References. Yeah, there's so many different references and stuff.
Yes.
I loved all of like the PlayStation 2. I loved the Windows and then the PlayStation 1. Like I got them, like I heard them,
Nice.
and those were sounds like when they hit, you're just like, dude, that's like a immediate flood back of memories kind of thing. So, first of all, why this style? Second of all, like how do you go about writing music for First Grade Fight Club?
Yeah. So I've been into cybergrind as like I didn't know it was called cybergrind back in the day. Way back when I was probably in 8th or 9th grade, so you would have been 10th or 11th grade.
Okay.
Is when I was really like into deep of like underground MySpace bands and bands that used a lot of synth heavy stuff that was you have like the bigger bands like I Set My Friends on Fire was a good example of like synth heavy Sky Eats Airplane, that kind of stuff. Then you go a level deeper with Nintendo Core, which is where you get bands like Horse the Band that were like really the synth was the like main instrument. And then when you get to Cybergrind is when all forms of like clean singing and melody are just out the window and you really focus on electronic music mixed with grindcore. Back in the day, the biggest band that made out of MySpace that was Cybergrind was the Sawtooth Grin, because they were just it was insanity what they did. It sounded like what they played in asylums, and I remember like downloading it onto my MP3 player, the Sawtooth Grin, and I don't know what they're saying. I don't know what the music was about, but I remember just being like, I'll play this. I'll listen to this when I play like Star Wars Battlefronts because it just sounds so like crazy and fun to like shoot people to.
Okay.
Then so Cybergrind started very heavily in the MySpace days. You had a lot of bands from that. And then in like 2018, 2017, you had a resurgence of Cybergrind, specifically with the bands Thought Crime and Blind Equation. They took sort of a dead style and then just said, hey, how about we revitalize it, make it interesting, make it new. And then what's great about modern Cybergrind is that it is so heavily influenced by people in the LGBTQIA plus community. Thought Crime all being trans women that just rock so hard and kick so much ass. And it's such a fun, inclusive style. So I've been aware of Cybergrind's resurgence in the past few years, and I'm a huge fan. And so this is also kind of like a funny story of why I started doing it. I've been interested in making music again for a long time. I was in bands in high school. I was in like a pop punk band and a couple metalcore bands, and we never like performed. We would just like make music and then like to each other. And it never went anywhere. We tried opening for the local band Like a Monster once, and they wouldn't let us use their amps, so we didn't get to. But with sort of the itch of trying to make music again, I was like, I don't know, I for like a couple years I've been putting out feelers for other musicians and been like, hey, we should start a band. And there's be like, yeah, sure, maybe. And then it goes nowhere. I had recorded a few vocal covers on YouTube. They're private videos. No one can find them, thank heavens, of me covering like Job for a Cowboy and Bring Me the Horizon in like a USB microphone. Thank the sweet Lord, those don't exist anymore. But I've just had the itch for a while, and then I have a buddy who has a Cybergrind project, and he showed me one of his songs, and I thought it was so bad. I thought it was a terrible song, and I was like, I can do this better. So then I made just a spite song, and then I did it on GarageBand, and I was like, I made the whole song. It doesn't exist. That song didn't become anything, but I was like, that was like really fun making that song. And so for years I've been saving up this like treasure trove of samples and clips from YouTube, from TV, movies, Vines, whatever, and being like, that would be so cool to be in a song someday. So then I just started making songs, and then I could go straight back to my treasure trove of samples and just start digging, like, looking through a file cabinet and be like, oh, I love this one. And then I had them all ready to go. So I actually don't have to search very hard for my samples because I kind of have a lot ready to go. But yeah, so I I just sort of started putting songs together. My first one being Elizabeth Holmes is My Girl Boss. And I was surprised after putting that whole song together how much I liked it. Like, I listened to it and I was like, okay, not only did I have so much fun making it, but I was like, I genuinely want other people to hear this. So I
Yeah.
showed it to a few friends and I was just like, making music has not been my thing since I was like 17. Please give me your honest thoughts. And people were so encouraging and so kind that I started showing it to other musicians. I'm very lucky to be connected with several people in bands. And I was like, hey, would you give me your thoughts on this? And their feedback was so helpful for me to all of a sudden be like, all right, I'm not just going to write one song, I'm going to write a couple songs. And then it just started to snowball after that. And then I put a name to the project. And then I was like, all right, I'm just going to go full out. And I at first I was like, do I need other people in this? Like, is it, I don't know, is it weird that it's just me doing it by myself? And then a lot of the artists I'm inspired by are solo artists who do a whole band by themselves. There's an artist I love. He's called The Sound That Ends Creation. And his music is a mix of mathcore and experimental jazz. And it's very weird. It's very intense. But he does it by himself. It's him on a guitar and everything else is sampled. And I think he's the best. And so I was like, you know what? If he can do it, I can do it too. So then I just started writing music. And then I'm very lucky to have a close friend who is an incredible artist. And he started making my logo and making the artwork for the singles and the cover. So yeah, I love Cybergrind as a whole, and then being able to be a part of it as a musician has been like a really cool feeling. The Cybergrind community is so accepting and kind. I had a bunch of people right away posting about it and being very kind to listen to it. So it's awesome.
That's awesome.
Yep.
So one of the things about First Grade Fight Club specifically that has stood out to me is it's like 8-bit.
Mm-hmm.
It's the old school Nintendo sound.
Yeah,
So a lot of the other stuff where you were just mentioning, like I've listened to grindcore, I've listened to a lot of stuff that probably is very synth heavy and has influenced a lot of like cyber grind and things like that, like everything that you were mentioning. But I had never like heard specifically 8-bit being the primary instrument, essentially.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so when I was listening to it though, my question is, do you do all like the 8-bit sounds first and then put your lyrics to it? Or do you write your lyric vocal melody and then go back and 8-bit to essentially a lot? Because a lot of it follows each other.
Yeah, that's a great question. All of the music is written first. So I put all of the music together. Often the 8-bit synths are the leading instrument. So I'll mess around and then until I find a tune or like a melody or a little progression that I really like, and then I'll put the guitar and the drums to that. So I often start with that, or I'll think of a cool like drum beat and then put it to that. But the lyrics and the vocals are the last part of it. They're like the icing on the cake. And so the cake itself is the 8-bit and then the other instruments. And then I just kind of frost it with the vocals. Yeah.
Nice. And going through, dude, you have the early MySpace fill for all of this, right? So where did Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Beheaded title come from?
I just love the movie Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead. And so I was like, what's like a more messed up version of that name? That's literally the whole story. A lot of the like titles I have and a lot of the lyrics, they're not deep. I have several friends that also make music in Cybergrind, and they have really emotional stories, or their meanings have double meanings. And I'm always just like, I just think it's funny. Like I think it's funny to say stupid things. But yeah, Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Beheaded. I had a few names in my phone for different what the name of the band could be, and one was Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Beheaded. And I was like, that's too long for a band name, but I loved it, so I was like, I got to keep it for something. So
Gotcha.
To go back to what you said before though about like kind of 8-bit mixed with Cybergrind, one of the main inspirations for my music is a band called I Shot the Duck Hunt Dog, and they did that better than anybody, except all of their samples were video game samples. So they used a lot of like retro Mario Brothers, and then would launch into the nastiest breakdowns done with like chiptune 8-bit synths. And I just adore that band. And so they did that style better than anybody. It's so cool.
So the first band that came to mind, like, and this is not a cybergrind band, right? But the Nintendo style, all of that stuff. I used to be really into a band called Karate High School.
Yeah, oh my hell yeah, dude! I love Karate High School.
Dude, I used to
sick. I don't know you know that. That's awesome.
Oh yeah, I know. I have a signed album by those guys, dude. So like, I love Karate High School, but that was like the band that it was like taking nerdiness to the next level.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I got like all my video game cousins into those guys. Like I was a huge Karate High School fanboy. So this is like a more intense version of like that for me kind of thing.
Yeah.
That was the first band that came to mind. Again, for anyone who like knows Karate High School and then goes and listens to you, don't expect Karate High School. Like, let me be very clear about
it. It's different. Yeah. But Karate High School ruled.
Yeah, exactly. So I freaking love those guys. But then we've talked about your guy, you know, a lot of your lyrics and stuff like that. Waterside Homicide is, what was it?
It's about Roller Coaster Tycoon.
Roller Coaster Tycoon. Yeah, that video game. Right?
That's the whole story of that song. Yeah.
So like I was flipping through TikTok one day and there's one of those like reaction videos of a guy just sipping coffee and someone had like put Sims inside of a pool all drowning.
Yes.
Dude, and I was like, he's just like sitting there smiling and sipping. I'm just like, this is Chris. This is like the next First Grade Fight Club song kind of thing. Watching all these people drowned in a pool that they can't get out of.
Yes, dude. No, my process for writing lyrics, it's not often like, I know a lot of musicians, they keep like a notebook of poems or potential lyrics. I make mine up on the spot of when I'm recording. And so I will write all of the music and then I'll sit there and go, what do I want to write about? And so I was just thinking a lot about Roller Coaster Tycoon. I was just like, how much I love that game. And I was like, I'm just going to write a song about how you play as God in Roller Coaster Tycoon, how it's fun to kill people. And then there you go. Same, like I have a song called Burn Down Your Local Subway. And it's literally just because I hate Subway. That's the only inspiration. I think it's the worst restaurant. And so I make up the lyrics what I'm feeling that day. And I'm very, not to be that guy, I'm going to sound like such an egomaniac right now. I'm very lucky that my brain works well with creative writing and lyrical writing and poetry and stuff, that I don't struggle to think of like funny, interesting ways of saying, you know, stuff about killing people in Roller Coaster Tycoon. Yeah.
If anyone's surprised about that, they shouldn't be. Anyone who knows you, like who follows your social medias, like you do quirky comedic stuff all the time, right? Like it just comes second nature to you. I've known you for forever, and you've always been that guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even like, and like, again, we've talked about this in the past, but like we weren't like close friends growing up, but we lived a street away from each other. So we knew each other for a very long time. And you've always had that personality, that persona, that quick wit, all of that kind of stuff. So none of this stuff is surprising to me. And I say that, in the most, what am I trying to say? The most genuine, nice way possible.
Absolutely. He's saying that they all thought I'd be a shooter someday, and so they were really nice to me in school.
Exactly. No.
I feel like, to go back to Karate High School, one band that like really amped me up for trying to be like that. Did you ever listen to Horse the Band?
I did. That was another band, right? But Horse the Band transitioned.
Yeah, dude.
Quite differently.
I was obsessed with that band, and I feel like they like were that ultimate mix of like funny, nerdy, chiptune-y, and also super heavy and angry. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, there's so many bands like that. Another one like that had the comedic rise, and this starts to go more in line with like the speed of grindcore was I Wrestle a Bear One's early albums.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
One of my favorite bands. Yeah.
The style of it, all of the gimmicks, all of the comedy, all of that kind of stuff. It was definitely a pathway for music like
for sure. Yeah.
So
literally all of us in Cybergrind modern day list I Wrestle a Bear Once as one of our influences, because like their first two albums are so crazy. Yeah.
I love it, especially that first album. That album was incredible.
There's nothing better. Once Courtney joined the band, I got very disinterested in that band, but those first two records I think are just so perfect.
I Couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
So you have more music coming out.
I do.
What? Tell me about it. So talk about some of the
Okay.
inspirations, because we have Hating Subway and Roller Coaster Tycoon playing God.
Absolutely.
What else is in the works?
Man, it gets crazier. Heads up. Yeah, I several times in these new songs, I've decided to sort of ramp up the chaos and the intensity and just the goofiness of it. For example, one song, mayhaps the song we're gonna play, is inspired by an episode of that show 1000 Ways to Die. Do you remember that?
Yes.
From like Spike TV back in the day.
Yep.
There's an episode of that show that has stuck with me because I watched it way too young, where this guy died because he sat on a hot tub vent and it sucked out his intestines from his anus. So there's a song about that. There's a song about an arsenic chugging contest and who can die fastest by drinking arsenic.
Okay.
There's a song about here's a fun story that's not just about a TV show. Let's see, it's June, so last month I was in New Jersey to visit my friends, and we went to the Jersey Boardwalk, and we were at a shooting at the Jersey Boardwalk that didn't turn out to be real. Some kids faked it, but the panic was still real. There were cops everywhere with rifles. We got evacuated.
Sure.
So I wrote a song about that. I wrote a song just about like being at a shooting in Jersey and what it's like to be in Jersey. I wrote another. I weirdly have a second song about a vampire. Yeah, they're just kind of all over the place. I don't have like a central theme I stick to or emotion I stick to. I think it's just fun to do whatever.
So you're a big movie guy.
Uh-huh.
May I offer a suggestion?
Yes, please.
Okay. I do not endorse this band. I don't even like this band.
I'm so ready.
Insane Clown Posse. Have you ever watched their movies?
No, I didn't know they had movies to watch.
Oh my gosh. I feel like this is, if not for anything but pure laughs,
love.
You're going to get a kick out of watching some ICP movies.
Sick.
And I feel like there's definitely in a movie or two, definitely some lyrics that are going to come from some of those.
Love that. Okay, I'll check it out.
They have like a Western one.
No.
I don't even know why I watched this thing. But I watched the Western ICP movie at one point in time. The stupid
cowboy, the insane cowboy posse. Yeah.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. So
that's crazy, dude.
I know, dude. Like, have you ever like listened to ICP? I never
not intentionally. ICP. No.
Yeah.
No.
I couldn't get over the whole juggalo aspect of things.
And you'll remember this because we're the same age. Do you remember there was such a bad connotation with juggalos back in the day? They were treated like a gang. Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest, a lot of the stuff that we were around was treated like a gang. So
literally straight edge in Salt Lake back in the day. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. There was always just bad blood between everyone. And
yes, there was. Yeah.
It is what it is. You can listen to whatever you want to listen to, but if I go on record, I say ICP is terrible. And I feel like it's a comedy band at this point, and probably a great influence for First Grade Fight Club songs.
Absolutely. Arguably my biggest influence. That's why I paint my face like they do.
Nice. That's what I expect on your first show. You know, painted face, walking up and saying, I'm not a juggalo. I just like to look like this. So
that is actually so funny. Just be like, I've never heard of this band, but I think they look cool.
So you were kind enough to send me over a song. Tell me about this one.
So this one is called Problematic Fave Public Execution. And this is the song that's about 1,000 Ways to Die.
Oh, okay. Awesome. The clip you sent over to me has Ellen DeGeneres on the front of it.
She's a big part of the song.
Okay, I gotcha. And it has I follow enough pop culture that I have seen the clips of Dakota Johnson and Ellen DeGeneres going at it back and forth, and that's in there. Dude, I freaking you are like the weird pop culture knowledge in your head from Kardashian clips to Ellen DeGeneres clips and everything in between being put into this stuff. It works. So
thanks, pal. It's called being on the internet too much. Yeah.
For the first time ever, we are going to attempt this. I don't know if this works or not, but we're going to try to play a song.
Fingers
so let's
crossed.
see how this goes.
Okay.
We can hear it.
And
we can hear it.
the one that was wearing the giant chain around his neck. Is that Sam?
Yes, yes.
Oh my God, he wears this fake giant chain.
Wait, did you say fake?
It's good to see you. Happy belated birthday. When was your birthday?
It was October 4th.
October 4th. You turned 30.
I did.
And how was the party? I wasn't invited.
Actually, no, that's not the truth, Ellen. You were invited.
And there it is.
Nice.
And there it is.
Hopefully that all worked on the recording.
Let's hope it does. So, if not, it's just gonna be us sitting here for like 90 seconds.
Good news is I can clip a bunch of stuff if I have to, but
there you go. Chat, what do we think about the clips? Yeah.
So first of all, immediately, I try to relate everything to something else. That's just the way my brain works, right?
Yeah.
And what I want to do right then is I want to play old SNES Super Metroid.
Yes.
That's
Absolutely.
the 8-bit sound that comes down to me.
Yep.
I love all of that kind of stuff. Again, I love all the sound clips. Getting called out on national TV, that's always a plus kind of thing.
Literally, anything I can do to celebrate the downfall of Ellen DeGeneres, I'll do it happily, publicly too. Yeah.
So what was this song about? Or you said 1,000 Ways to Die.
This is the 1,000 Ways to Die episode. So the lyrics are literally about having your intestines sucked out through your ass.
Nice.
That's kind of as deep as it goes, and it's just different ways of describing that. The last part of the song, it's more what the guy is thinking right before he dies, as his intestines are already been ripped out, his final thoughts. Yeah. And literally the Ellen DeGeneres clips have nothing to do with that. I just thought it was funny to do 2 clips of her making an ass of herself.
Listen, man, your story needs to be that Ellen was probably thinking, I wish my intestines were being ripped out of my butt at this time instead of seeing this conversation.
That was Dakota Johnson is the hot tub vent. Exactly.
Exactly. Yeah. She's just sucking that soul right out.
And then actually so in my phone, it's my most prized possession. I have my list of potential song names. And I've had the phrase problematic fave, public execution for months at this point written down. It's just something that comes randomly to my brain. I'll write it in my phone. And so when I started putting down Ellen DeGeneres clips, I was like, man, she's talking about a problematic fave, public execution is her career. So that was it's kind of going together well. Yeah.
Nailed it. Nailed it.
Well, I had something else to say. Gosh dang it. Oh, you mentioned the SNES stuff. My brother Dave, he's very kind and listens to all of my music. And he always goes, the reason I love it is because it makes me think of the video games I love. So he doesn't like music with screaming in it, but he was always I'll always listen because I think it's fun to listen to the chiptune stuff.
As much as you are a quirky, outgoing guy, I have never known Dave to be that type of personality.
Yeah. Exactly.
Kudos to him for.
Really, he's always so nice to listen to it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, well, dude, listen, I freaking love having you on. We have a text thread going where we just talk about weird, crazy crap kind of all the time.
Yeah.
So it's a ton of fun, but I'm sure we'll have you back again. And
I'd love to.
Yeah, anything else to kind of wrap this thing up?
No, dude. Go follow First Grade Fight Club on Instagram. I post a lot of like memes, but also teasers for when music's going to be coming up, which will be sooner rather than later. Yes, the whole next release is not finished, but that does not mean the officially new release songs that are different than the one you heard on this episode will be out soon. So get ready for that.
Nice. And also go follow just your personal accounts, Chicken and Waffles. You do a bunch of funny stuff on there. You're a fun guy
funny
to follow.
Stuff, concerts or records, whatever. Just my silly little existence. Yeah.
Exactly. So we'll get you back on here again, but dude, I really appreciate it.
Of course, dude. I was happy to do this.
Thanks, man. Peace.
Of course. Talk to you later.